Hello, beautiful people. I am here with another tutorial. I guess this isn't, some people have brought it to my attention that these aren't maybe actual tutorials. People usually look for something very concise and short that just says, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to show you how to do reverb on a track, or I'm going to show you how to mix drums or something. This is how I work on songs. So yes, it is a tutorial about song making, okay? But it's going to be long and it's going to be involved, okay? And I'm going to maybe add some tracks and show you how I do things, okay? This song is called So Many Times. I've already done a tutorial on it where I think I might have edited the vocal tracks, or I think I worked on the drums and I had the vocals already done or something. I'm not sure. I think I showed you how I put in the lyrics. Oh, I wrote the song and created it right from scratch. Now, and then I said I would do a tutorial on the bass part, but I got working on it and I just did the bass and I didn't record it. So I'm going to show you what I did for the bass. And then I also put a pad track in, and I thought, okay, well, I was going to freeze the pad track and then freeze what's called freezing the bass track. And I thought, okay, I need to be showing people how I'm doing this. Okay, so this is Cakewalk by Bandlab, and I don't have any mastering stuff in this yet. So it's not mastered, okay? So mastering just gives the song this kind of really smooth texture and all. I'm still in the process of adding tracks and what's tracking. All right, here's the song, and I'll show you what I have for parts in them. I'll kind of isolate them out. So we're going to go back to here. All right. Many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see. Okay. Now, I am getting over a cold, so I may have to drift in and out of this tutorial. I may have to drift out of this tutorial because I have to take focus assist alarms only. Okay, here we go. So I may have to drift in and out of this tutorial because I am still coughing and sneezing and wheezing. So here we go. Back to Cakewalk and back to here. Okay. All right, I'm going to chop certain spots out that aren't right. Okay, now I'm going to play some of these tracks that I've added to this. This is the basic audio loop, okay? That just... Okay, it does that through the whole song, okay? It doesn't change or anything, it just does that. Okay, this is supposed to be some kind of like modern popish thing. So, and it does give me that kind of modern thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait I'm going to wait one measure before the pad comes in. So it's really, really quiet. And the bass. The bass is going to wait a measure also. So we're going to get rid of that. So it's going to start out just with that. Many times I've tried to say. All right, I like that. Now, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do here, because there's some spots where I'm thinking, okay, it needs more bass, and some spots that I'm thinking, oh, it needs more pads, it needs drums there. I'm not sure exactly. It needs a lead guitar also. A lot of decisions are going to be made on the fly with this song. Okay, so you can see now this is the bass part right here. Okay, it starts out with something sounds really wrong with that. Okay, that's dull fingered too. Something just sounds horribly wrong with that, and I'm not sure what it is. Okay, I'm gonna try and pick this again and see real bass. Let's reload the bass. Something's really wrong. I think maybe what I've done is messed with the velocity. No. Oh, why do things like this have to happen to me? Okay. Now I have a very serious problem here. It's like something is messing with the attack of the bass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert soft synths. I'm going to insert another Dimension Pro. I just have no idea why this sounds, it just doesn't sound right. Okay, I have braces. I just got braces on my teeth, so I haven't really learned how to sing yet. Again, with these things on my teeth. So I'm going to now mute this track and see if I can, if this is... Alright, well, now I have no sound at all through this. Let's see, maybe that's because I didn't pick a program. Real bass, dull fingered, 2. See, that's correct. Okay, so that's what that other track is supposed to sound like. Alright, so we're going to just keep that muted, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do what's called freezing the track. And I think, alright. Alright, so I'm just going to freeze it, and if I have to, I'll copy and paste it where I need it. Okay, that looks like a nice, healthy bass track. Now I'm not going to be worried. I have no idea what did that. Now I'm going to open my synth rack, view, synth rack, and I'm just going to delete that whole rack here with the track. Delete synth and delete associated tracks. Okay, we still have our track down here. That's what it's supposed to sound like, so I may have recorded something that might be mixing another track in with it.
Many times.
Alright, so this is what the track... Okay, now we're going to put some compression on it. Why isn't that working? Oh, because that's not on. Alright. I'm not too... this is what I'm doing in setting this compressor. It's something that I just know how to do instinctively. But if you, with each instrument, it took years to learn this, but how you set the compressor for each different thing. And with bass, you want a quick attack. You just know these things, okay? And because this is dun dun dun, it's kind of like quick. It's not like long held notes and moving around, that it's quick, that I'm going to give it a little bit of release so that it kind of goes back to 0 after each note, so that each note is a separate entity rather than the whole thing being one long compressed thing. So continuously compressed. So you see, and I'm bringing it up to 4. 4 is my magic number. And I always bring it up to 4, almost everything. I never compress anything more than 4. And I hardly ever use, I never use these big ratios. I just use a 4-to-1 ratio on everything. But I'm giving it some release so that it goes back to 0. Because I want some silence in my song, okay? I don't want it to be just like this bass undertone going on steady. All right, now I'm going to hit this to get my final output. To make sure they sound the same. That's a little bit louder. Now I'm going to put on my EQ, and I'm just going to cut this low bass out, which would rattle speakers. And I'm going to cut a little bit out of 200 to fit the voice in a little better. All right, now that's going to make sure that my bass doesn't rattle my speakers in a car or something like that. That's how you set the EQ, okay? If you do that on your bass track, you set it like that, go to 4, make sure your outputs, that your unity gain between your compressor and your EQ is correct, and then you just cut that chop, use a low bass cut here so that it doesn't go below there. And I use a wide, I don't use a very sharp cut slope here. I use a kind of soft slope. And I know some people do use a wide slope, but a very sharp slope, but I just like a gradual slope there. So okay, so that's the bass. So that's how I now the pad is going to be very similar to that.
Tried to say
It's going to be similar, but with the pad, I'm going to compress the whole thing. I'm not... Well, maybe actually I'll do the same thing again with this. Because like I said, I want silence in between these two instruments. So what I'm doing is a quick attack, so it picks up the beginning of the sound instantly, and it doesn't go up above my magic number of -4 dB, okay? But I'm giving it a really quick release, so it will go back to 0 in between the chord changes on the long and short ones. Okay, now we're going to make sure our unity gain is correct. Alright, and then I'm going to go in here and do my regular cut here. And I don't need this down in the bass range, and I need some of this cut out of here, out of the 200 range, again, so the voice can fit in there. Alright, and so, alright, that's how I set that, okay? Now that's my pad, so now we've got those two set. Now we're going to go into this one, compress. All right.
Many times I've tried to say
Now, I'm gonna
just
solo this. Doesn't sound okay. I've already done some of this already. Now I'm gonna let this. This also has some. If you can see, there are little breaks in the there are little breaks in it. So I'm gonna let this one have some silence too, so that it the release. But I want it to hit that 4 mark. Alright, and I want it to pick up immediately on the attack. And I'm getting a little bit of a red in here. Why doesn't it seem like I'm working on that? It's working, but it is. Alright, now I've got to hit this input. Oh, there's gotta be something up here. Okay, yeah, I'm going to take this out, this effects chain out, remove the module. All right, that was doing something funky with it. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, now I'm going to get it up to my magic number of 4. Not above it. Alright, and this, and I'm gonna let it go back to 0, because I want those little bits of silence in the song. Alright, at least that's the premise I'm working on now. Now I'm a little bit loud, so we want the unity gain, so you can't tell the difference when you go in and out of it, okay? Now we're going to go here, and we're going to check this, and that's correct. Okay, I'm not setting the overall gains on things yet until I get these things EQ'd correctly. Now we're going to compress this. This has got some serious problems. It's definitely too loud for the compressor. All right, I let it go into the green, and I keep it green, and sometimes a little bit of like the yellow color, but I don't let it hit the red. Okay, that's just the way I mix it. All right, so I just don't let these hit the red, but a little bit of the yellow's okay. Now we're gonna go back to our drum. Okay, now I'm gonna do the same thing with this drum loop. Okay, I'm not sure if I changed some of that. No, that seems like I didn't change it. Okay, now this is our drum beat. We want it to attack immediately. We want it to actually get bring it up to our 4. Our magic number again. And this is the way I do it. I don't know if it's right or not. It's just the way I do it. Now, but with the drum, I also want a little bit of silence in between those beats. And I don't always do it this way, but for this song, I just want it to be able to go back to 0 a few times here and there, okay? So that there's transparency in these sounds. So they all kind of pop in and out of each other, okay? That's what I'm looking for here, okay? So that they make a groove that all works together, okay? Instead of, like, if I were to bring this release up on all of them, then it would make them all more steadily in the song, and I would lose that transparency. And I want this music because it's one jive, I want it to be an interesting jive, okay? Because it's one thing that just repeats itself over and over, I want it to be interesting. I want it to have sound and silence mixed in together, okay? So that's what I'm working for here. Like, again, I don't know if it's going to work until I start to mix it, but I have a feeling it is, okay? Okay, so that is all the instruments except for the voice. Why do I have an extra addictive drums here? Oh, because I was going to use addictive drums here, and instead I decided to use this drum loop because it was a little bit more interesting. So we're going to delete this synth and delete associated tracks. Let's simplify our song so we don't have things in it that are not in it. Now I have this little beat at the beginning so that when I add new tracks, I have a count in. It stops because the music starts, okay? And then I don't need a count in, so like here.
Many times.
Now, okay. So I have my music mixed. I'm probably going to add organ coming in because this is a repeating thing that's after you've heard it 4 or 5 times, to some people it might just become too repetitive, too boring, and they're going to shut it off. And that's because they have a very fine sense of music where they like a kind of variety, okay? And I'm not going to criticize or that. This song is built around one little loop. I don't always do it that way, but it's built around a loop. It's more than, I think it's more than, it's about 4 chords. So it's more than 3 chords. Because of the repetition in this song, I'm going to add things and they're going to come in. The drums are going to come in and out. There's going to be an organ popping in. I may even have a piano pop in, and they're going to be on the left and right, just to remind the listener that things are happening in the song. It's not just one big repetitive thing and vocals. Okay, now the vocals have a very serious problem. They have a presence problem, okay?
Many times I've tried to say just what you.
And you could say, well, you just turn them up and that's all they need. No, it's not all they need. Even if I turn them up, my ear hears what's called banding, okay? And the only way to fix banding is by a sidechain, okay? A lot of big mixing artists who have done famous songs that are on the radio don't do this. And when I hear the songs, it's like, that's terrible. It's just the vocals being all stepped on all over by the music, okay? Because they didn't do this, okay? So this is the vocal and this is the music. And now people can argue about the best way to do this process, but I'm going to show you the way I do it. And it's evolved over a couple hundred songs that I've mixed and mastered. I'm going to send all of these music tracks to the music. Then I'm going to send the vocal to the vocal bus, okay? That's what the first thing you do. And some people might argue and say, well, you don't put the drums in there or you don't put the bass in there. You just put the tracks that are banding, the ones that are similar to the voice and everything. That's that they might be right about that, but I've found over time. Okay, this is our bass. That's the new bass track. All right, now I have found that I just put them all, and I even sidechain over backup vocals. There may be backup vocals and oohs and ahs. Everything I can throw at this song, I'm going to, because because of that repetitive loop in the background. I don't want really good music connoisseurs to notice that and say, oh, that loop, I can only hear it 4 or 5 times and I've had enough. So I'm going to embellish that loop and add all kinds of extra things to make to hopefully to make it more interesting, so people with fine sensibilities about repetitive loops don't mind it. Okay, and I'm pretty good at doing that. I've done it quite a few times. So now now you can see all the music tracks are going to this music bus, and all the vocal
Many times I've tried to say
are supposed to be going to the vocal, but I don't think I sent it. Okay, the vocal's going to the master. We want it to go to the vocal. Okay, now what I'm going to do is a nifty little trick. This is built into Cakewalk. There's lots of ways to sidechain in Cakewalk, but this is the way I do it. Okay, I'm going to replace this module. One of the updates, they switched it because this compressor used to always be for buses, and then this little toggle here. Okay, what I do is I replace the compressor that comes default with this compressor. You can't add it, you have to replace it. Okay, so you right click up top here and replace the module with this one, and it looks different than the channel modules, which that's the channel module there. And I have got something here. I'm going to remove. I'll leave that there for now. That's okay. So so this is the music bus, and if you don't turn this on, it won't sidechain. So that has to be in the on position. Okay, and then you go to this vocal. All right, and you right click down in a blank spot here, and you go insert send, and you don't put it on the music bus, you put it on this built-in channel effects input to music. It says, okay, that's this side chain right here. Okay, I know it sounds complicated, but if you just do this, then you've got the main part worked out. Okay, and then what you do is you listen to it, and you click on your music track, and you're going to notice that when my voice comes in, it cuts itself out of the whole song.
Many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see.
Now you see, what that allows me to do is to nestle the vocal down into the music. The vocal is not turned up so high that it's sitting on top of the whole song. What it's doing is it's cutting itself out of the song. That enables me to bring the vocal volume down, and it's still going to be perceptible because it's cutting itself out of the song. And so all those banding problems that I can hear when this process is not done in a song, I can hear it so obvious. I can say, yep, that mixing and mastering process, it never got sidechained. And so it's just the music just bleeds and walks all over the vocal, and it's just horrible. To my ears, it's horrible. It just ruins the song to me, okay? Without sidechaining it like this, okay? So now my song's ready to master. It's ready to go into that mastering phase.
Many times I've tried to say.
All right. Now, okay, so I'm going to save this, all right? And you might say, well, your vocal still doesn't have the presence that I was yeah, it does. Wait till you see, because now you have to now I'm going to put in Ozone 8, and you can get this Ozone 8 at splice.com. You can pay for a subscription, and in 2 years have it paid off, but you only pay like about $20 or $30 a month, and it pays it off slowly. When you're done, you own it. this program you have to have for mastering. It's just absolutely a must for mastering. I can get by with just using the channel strips in Cakewalk for mixing, but mastering, you've got to have something like this. And I use FabFilter. And FabFilter, you always want to buy these things on sale, but if you go to splice.com, you're going to be paying top dollar because they're giving you the whole program on day one. The day you subscribe, you get the whole $500 program. It's around $400 or $500. But they give it to you, the whole thing, with no strings attached, other than you have to pay every month. And if you want to shut off the payments, like I can't afford my payments this month, it's like $30 or somewhere in around that. You can pause it, and then, but it'll shut off in your Cakewalk. It won't work until you resume your subscription and pay, and then boom, presto, it works again. Until it's paid off, okay? But you got to have this. Now, you put this on your mastering bus, all right? Now, watch what happens here, okay? We're going to hit play. Now, we're going to run this for streaming. Just hit next. It's going to detect the music.
Many times tried to say
Now, it's going to get
just
loud.
what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see.
Okay. Now,
With the love that we share, together we so deep.
do you see how that just took? I didn't bring the vocal up at all, but what it did was it just kind of gave the mid-range a little more presence in the song, okay? And you could probably look, in fact, all it did was cuts here. Well, this equalizer, this is where all the information is in the male voice. And so it brought all of that stuff up. And it brought up some of the warmth of the pad, and the maximizer just compressed the heck out of it, out of the whole song. And that's what kind of squished it together. But what it squished together was all of those very transparent instruments that were all poking out because of the compression, the way I compressed them. Now, here we go. Now, this little button this is the master track, okay? And there's the mute and your solo button. But this little waveform, you got to turn it on, okay? Because you got to be able to see your waveform, all right? And so now, this drum thing I'm going to mute eventually. I'm only using that as a count-in, so the song is going to start without that drum thing going on, okay?
Many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see.
Okay, now you notice here where this is where I know this gets complicated, but this is not the compression on the music track. This is showing my vocal, and when my vocal sings, it's cutting itself out of the music track, okay? So when you see this go up to 4, that's the loud part of my voice, and every time it moves, it's cutting like a cookie cutter, cutting those parts out of the music so that my voice can not, it doesn't sit on top of the music, it sits in the music, okay? And that's absolutely a must, okay? Or if not, then you're going to see this wave track that's going in this orange wave track, and every time I sing, you're going to see my voice peak up above it. You don't want that. You want it in the song. That's how you get that effect, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is one more thing, okay? Because Ozone sets it to like about minus 15 dB. That's the way it sets it. I use another plugin to bring it the rest of the way up so it fills the entire envelope here, okay? And so this is going to get loud again. So I'm going to turn this down a little bit here. And all right, so now we're going to go here and hit. All right, now I'm going to turn sampling on. That's going to bring me up to, let's try 8.
Many times
and I'm
I've
going
tried
to take
to
this
say
and I'm going to bring this down to minus
just
5.
what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see.
I may double this vocal.
With the love that we share, together we so deeply care. Through the night we hold
All right, I do that to
tight.
minus 5, and it just put it back. I don't think it's going to let me do that because of this mode that I have this in.
Each other's eyes.
All right, so I'm going to bring this up.
Mutual bliss. In a moment to realize, joined by a lover's kiss.
Now there's something kind of up with my voice that I'm going to go and look at the compression of that. And the pad is a little bit too loud.
We can talk and communicate, share our thoughts and relate. In this way we connect. Trust is how we find respect. In the shelter of your embrace, love is found, comfort, space. Though it seems like worlds apart, love is shared in our hearts. To look into each other's eyes and find the mutual bliss. In a moment to realize, joined by a lover's kiss. Lover's kiss.
All right, now I'm going to go back here. See the vocal. With Cakewalk, each one of these modules gives me like a peak indicator, and they give me everything it goes in and out of gives me a peak indicator, and my ears are not good enough to know, like, I like to see a visual diagram of I like to see my music and not have to just hear it, and these allow me to see it, okay? And so that's the only problem I'm having. And probably there are like wave plugins that would allow me, that I could put in, that would allow me to see what I'm doing. But I don't know, that would give me visual cues and like frequency analysis of what I'm doing. And so like this tells me.
Many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways.
Okay, now one thing I do want to put in here is I'm going to go insert audio effect, and I'm going to add. This is another thing I just picked up, is Vocal Rider. I use Vocal Rider on every vocal.
Many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see. I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see.
See, I'm wondering about this transparency about
Many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see. Many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things. Many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways.
All right, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to insert, and we're going to go with ozone. We're going to go with nectar 3. And I'm going to see if I can get nectar to kind of give my voice a little bit more transparency and to fix a little bit of pitch stuff. This track vocal I'm not pleased with because I sung it with a horrible cold, okay? So
many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see. Many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see.
all right, now we're going to turn the correction on.
Many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see.
All right, I think that improved it. Okay, now we're going to take a look at nectar.
Many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see.
All right.
With the love that we share, together we so deeply care. Through the
Okay, now that part, that care, that's not right.
deeply care.
All right, there's a problem there. You got to hear everything with your music.
Deeply care.
That goes up here.
Deeply care. Deeply care. Deeply care.
All right, we're going to look at this a little bit more closely. There's something. All right. I'm going to do.
Deeply care.
All right, now I'm going to put these both on that line.
Deeply care.
See, that's how you got to fix stuff like that. You got to hear every little spot.
Share.
Now, this, it's okay. The vibrato's okay, but it's got to be.
Share. Together we share. Together we so deeply care. Through the night we hold on tight. This it's so right. Oh, love, it's so right to love, it's so right. Love, it's so right to look in right. Love, it's so right to look in right. Love, it's so right to look into each other's eyes, find the mutual bliss. Find the mutual bliss.
See, my voice was horrible here. I thought I was losing my voice, and then like the next day I got a cold. It's like, okay, I'm never gonna sing again. I can't sing.
Find the mutual bliss.
Now, but so I'm
Find the mutual bliss.
I may be able.
Find the mutual bliss. Find the mutual. Find the mutual bliss. Find the mutual bliss. In a moment to realize, joined by.
Now that some of these breaths are gonna have to go. They're just. Well, let's just lower them a little bit.
In a moment to realize, in a moment to realize, in a moment to realize.
Now, I mean, what I'm doing right here is like a lot of.
In a moment to.
It's just basically using Melodyne, and what I'm doing is changing formats. I'm changing like the tone of certain syllables. I'm changing the timing of certain things. I'm changing the pitch of things. The vibrato. Like you could see this, I can just see this. That vibrato needs to be a little bit more in the center of that pitch.
In a moment to realize, joined by.
Now this is too loud. Joined
by a lover's kiss.
Now something's wrong here because I think I've got to cut the end off. Yeah, now see this? These aren't on the same note. They're on the same.
Lover's kiss. Lover's kiss.
Now this is too high.
Lover's kiss.
All right, see how that fixed that? That's actually how I sung it, but what I do is I select the whole thing and I just say, put it in the strictest pitch you can, and so I just select all of it and say, align it to pitch, and then I come in and fix it. That's the way I do it. A lot of people come in and they just say, oh, tweak that and put that in pitch, and no, that's not the way I do it. I just say, put it all in pitch, and then I'll go fix it back to the way I actually sung it, which is sometimes a little off pitch. But
we can talk and communicate.
Now these are obviously just to.
We can talk and commute. We can talk and commute. We can talk and communicate. thoughts and relate. Thoughts and relate. In this way we.
Okay. This song's gonna lead a lot of
share our thoughts and relate. Share our thoughts and relate. Share our thoughts and relate. In this way and share our thoughts and relate. Share our thoughts and relate. In this share our thoughts and relate. And relate. In this way we. In this way. In this way. In this way we. In this way we. In this way we connect. Trust is how we find.
It's a giant breath. So basically, all right, what you're going to see here is that I have a crap load of editing to do on my vocal to get it just right. And now, okay, so now just to give you an idea, okay, so I have to edit the vocals and I have to make all of it perfect, and I may also double my voice in certain spots to make it more interesting. You'll hear, like when I start out here, it probably wouldn't be doubled.
We can talk and communicate.
And then I'm going to sing,
share our thoughts and relate.
See, so I may actually double that section there so that just like it won't be doubled at first. You don't really want to double starting out a line, but you want to bring it in later. You want to do it like in choruses, not at the first line of a verse and stuff like that. You want to have like it more intimate when it comes in. And so that's pretty much a rule. It's not always, but like for a verse, because you don't want it to just like be so distant, because it's when you double it, it makes it sound kind of distant and like a choir. And you want it to come in intimate and human and very, and then you bring the doubling in, okay? Later.
We can talk and communicate.
See, so I want the doubling there, right? Like here.
We can talk and communicate.
Then I can go,
share our thoughts and relate.
See, that's where you can put the doubling in after you've introduced them to that human and intimate thing. Then you put the doubling in, okay? I suppose sometimes even if you put the doubling in but have it very, very slight and hardly noticeable, it still detracts away from that intimacy, okay? And sometimes even just a little bit muddies it and doesn't work, okay? So you got to have a good enough voice to be able to have it stand on its own.
We can talk and communicate
for that first line so that you can bring people back into it. Then you can start messing with it and doubling it, making it wider, making all kinds of things like that, okay? But you want to give it, and it's the same thing at the beginning of the song, and the chorus, and there is a
love that we share.
Like same thing here, like with this, when this comes in.
With the love that we share.
That part you want alone, all right? And now when you get into this part,
It's so right to look into each other's eyes and find the mutual bliss in a moment to realize.
all right, so this is the chorus right here.
Hold on tight. This love is so right to look into each other's eyes and find the mutual bliss.
See those parts, that's where you want the doubling, is in the chorus. Definitely. You can put it in certain sections here. You want to maybe make it sparse in the verse. But in the chorus and maybe the last one. All right, and this where it says
Joined by a lover's kiss.
in there you maybe don't want doubling, you want harmony. So you go
Joined by a lover's kiss.
see, so you want to go that into like a full harmony, okay? Or you want it alone. You want to do something different, okay? That's what I'm saying. And to me, I think I'm going to do a harmony there.
Joined by a lover's kiss.
A 3-part harmony there, okay? So, all right, that's what I'm going to be doing with the vocal, all right, here, okay? Because the vocal does have some weak spots because of the cold, and I sound a little nasally in spots. Yeah, my voice, I sound a little croupy in spots. You got to cover those up. You got to hide them, okay? I don't always sound that way, but that's the only way this song is going to pull off, is if I sing and do some doubling and do some harmonies, some oohs in the background, oohs and ahs in the background, okay, and give it some depth and some other human things to distract you a little bit from the vocal, okay, from my vocal. All right, now, and I'm going to show you just maybe one more thing, and then we're going to end this video here, okay? And I'm going to insert and soft synth, and we're going to go with Dimension Pro. Okay. And I'm going to add my favorite organ here. We're going to find a nice spot for it. Now we're going to start with the beginning of the song. Now I have to turn off this Ozone 8 and the Fab filter because they hog up all of my, and I have to, let's take, I can't close, I think I'm going to have to settle for this. It's going to be a little bit, and it's going to be quiet. I'll try to turn that up in the,
Many times I've tried to say just what you mean to me. All the things in so many ways. You're in everything I see.
all right, now here we go.
Thing I see.
All right, all right, so we're going to do something funky here.
Thing I see. With the love.
See that? All right, now, so what we're going to do is we're going to do some recording here. It's going to be off a little bit because of the latency, but I think I can do it here.
Thing I see.
All right, there it is. Okay, now we're going to normalize this to, I think, eighths, process, quantize. We're going to note the to eighths. Yeah, we're going to do it to eighths. Oops, not eighth triplets, eighths. See what that does. Now, isn't that awesome, people? Now, say, oh, cancel. I didn't want to close Cakewalk. I just want to minimize this, all right? Now we can take, now we're going to have to do our compression on this, and we're going to have to do, and our EQ the bottom end out of it, but we're going to just, for now, turn it down a little. All right, now, why doesn't that sound like my right organ, my Hammond? Jazz 3 with the modulation on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of something funky here. Okay, we're going to save this again. Uh-oh. Oh, we're back. Thank you, Cakewalk, for not locking up. All right, now I'm going to show you something else. We're going to do sound on sound. Sound on sound, and I'm going to record a little bit of modulation wheel with that. Oopsie doopsie. Here we go. We got to have it. We're going to go here and turn the metronome off on recording because I've got enough stuff here. Okay, so I don't want it to come in really loud. Okay, so.
Thing I see.
Now that just added that funky. And we're going to put that in the right ear.
Thing I see.
All right. Now I'm going to do something else funky here now. That's going to be called organ. Of course. Now, now I'm going to insert soft synth again, and we're going to go with Dimension Pro here, and I'm going to grab a piano, and I'm going to, I think I'll use a nice piano here. It's going to have all right, now.
Thing I see.
Now we're going to do this.
Thing I see. Thing I see.
All right, and now I've got to sneeze. Right. You got to work through a cold, or I wouldn't get anything done at all. Okay, now we're going to, I would never have been able to play that because the lag is just so, is so bad here. Okay, process, quantize to the nearest eighth. There we go, and we got a little problem here. We want them to stick out. We want these two to stick out too. That's what seems logical, and we want these all to stick out. Something like that. All right, now we're going to try this. Now we're going to take this one and we're going to put in the left ear. Okay, we've got to have some interesting stuff, okay? And just to let you know, it's like piano and organ are just their music. Like they belong in music. They really do, okay? And so, you know, if you say, well, I would like a triangle and, you know, sometimes a triangle and a bassoon, you know, or something like that. But, you know, pop music, pianos and organs, and the human voice, like for oohs and ahs and stuff, You just can't go wrong with those instruments, okay? So when you're thinking about what instruments to put in your songs, keep a piano and an organ, and trumpets are pretty good too, brass, French horn, depending on the song.
Thing I see.
Now, in that, there's going to be a lead guitar that's going to go down, 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 down on top of this. And these instruments, and the guitar is going to be side chained and cut out and nestled in just like the voice, so that it fits in the song. And so these are just going to be, you'll barely notice the organ and the piano, but it will be enough of a change where you suddenly forget that loop that's playing in the background. That suddenly it's, wow, different instruments, a whole different music, Down, 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 down. With the love. See, so it's going to have that electric guitar over top of that, okay?
Thing I see.
Down, 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 down.
With the love.
See, that's what you do there. Okay, so, all right, I'm going to stop this video here, or it's going to be like forever to edit, and it's going to be huge because it's in 4K. I will upload this for you people and show you. I hope these things are helpful that I've shown you. I know they're very helpful for me. When I'm going to play this, turn these back on now and bring this volume back down and let you hear this now.
Thing I see.
All right, so that just kind of gives you, that's with my mastering stuff on, so that so that the whole song is kind of has been expanded and compressed and all that stuff, and brought up to, and with a brick wall and all of that stuff. I hope this is helpful in using Cakewalk. As you can see, Cakewalk is a cakewalk. It's the way they have set this program up. When I try any other DAW, I kind of laugh, because it's one of the biggest secrets in the world, how completely full-featured and well set up, and like everything from, I see people in very expensive DAWs, I'm not going to mention any names, when they pull up the stock EQ, okay, it's just a bunch of knobs, and that's it. The stock EQ here in Cakewalk, this is the stock EQ that's on every channel here, okay, this is it.
I see.
And look at this. Now, as you can see, I can see my music. I can see what I'm doing.
With the love that we share, together we so deeply care. Through the night we hold on tight. This love is so right to look into each.
And everything here is animatable. I can move this along and animate it and move it where, as the song is playing, this thing will move all around. This is amazing, and it's built into every channel. And you can see, I can see not only what I'm doing, but the changes to this. I mean, yes, I've seen EQs with better analyzers in them, but what different about this EQ is that it doesn't take up a huge amount of your CPU. It's just, it has such a low footprint, and it's on every channel. And the same thing with this compressor. It's like this, it has this little gauge, in every channel, on every channel, I can see exactly what I'm doing with the compressor. I don't have to guess and say, well, I just put a high pass filter on, put a low pass up to. I don't have to just kind of listen and see what it's doing. I can see what I just did to the wave file.
Thing I see.
See that this is
Thing I see.
and now notice this when I bring this up too high. See that grayed out section? That shows me that that part is no longer in my signal. That grayed out section is no longer. Do you see? It shows me what I'm doing. And it's like, yeah, I like to depend on my ears too, but I also like to see it. So many people like adjust something and think it's doing a certain thing, but you really don't know until you see it. And it's like seeing is believing. This channel strip is on every strip that you make in Cakewalk, and it's just so easy. And and it's like a lot of people say, well, should you compress before you EQ? Well, Cakewalk by default puts the compressor before the EQ. And it's like, I could never EQ before I compress. It's just for some reason, getting that signal compressed, because every time you change this EQ, you're changing your gain. And it's insane to go through and mess with the EQ, because then you have to readjust your entire chain. It's just, it's a no-brainer. At least the way this is set up is to compress it, get it compressed, then EQ it, then EQ it. After you EQ it, you just mess with the channel output and bring it into where you want it. And all of your other sends like reverb then come after in here. It's so well laid out. And just what you saw, like opening Melodyne, it's built right into Cakewalk. I don't have to save my Melodyne stuff in another file. From the very beginning when I started using Melodyne, it's built right into Cakewalk. You just double click on it, and there it is. And when I click save up top, I Control S on a Windows machine. This right here, this is an i9. It just got saved in my project. And so I don't need to render these down in the project ever. I can always come in and tweak it and say, oh, I didn't like the way that this right here, I can obviously see this. I didn't get that.
Talk and communicate.
That's this. I've got it too loud and everything. I have to go through and mess with it, but that's where it's supposed to be. That's basically your lesson on Cakewalk. Yeah, it looks all complicated and all this, but you got to learn it. You notice my MIDI tracks are like right in here with my wave tracks. It's like I don't have to jump all these hoops to work on a MIDI track. I don't have to go into a whole different separate song to work with MIDI. When I put in a automation, volume automation here, okay, it's right over my track. It's not in a whole separate track way down in the bottom. It's like, where's my automation? I'm scrolling all the way down to find an automation track. It's right over top of my track, people. I can go and I can automate like this, right, and say, I want it to get louder here, and then I want it to get really quiet. I can see it, what I'm doing. I could not work with a DAW that doesn't have this. I mean, just think about it. I can see what's happening in my track as I adjust my automation. I mean, it's the way it's set up. And that goes for pan. I can go to automation pan, and I can say, okay, I want it to be in this ear and that ear. All right, and like this, I can go from one ear to the other ear. Okay, and I can say, okay. All right, one ear. I also have it getting quiet. So with the now it's going to go to the right ear. Yeah, right over my track. And how do I switch back? I just go and say, "Oh, take me to my volume." Okay? It's like I want that a little bit louder here. Okay? And then I say, "Okay, take me to my pan." All right? And if I have any other automation, it's like all in this automation thing down here. I can put compressor automation, all these other things I can automate. And anything that I stick in this bin, effects bin, they'll appear here in this automation stuff, in this list of automatable parameters. And it's all here, and I just switch between them, and I go automate between this or between that. It's like, if this isn't in another DAW, forget it. Forget it. There's just no possible way I would ever even consider using that DAW. And my MIDI is right here with my track. It's not set up in some other whole view. Separated is like, if it wasn't in my track, I wouldn't be able to use it. It's just that simple. You saw how easily my MIDI tracks just become wave files. It's just by clicking this freeze, all of a sudden my organ track becomes a wave file. And I still have my MIDI track right there, and I can just unfreeze it, go in and edit my MIDI, and then freeze it again. Because of some kind of advertisement thing that's going on, think that these other DAWs are better, and they're just not. They are not better at all. They're just horrible to use. And it's like, when I want to put in an effects, it's right here. It's like insert audio effect, and I've got all of my audio effects right in here. My isotope, I can put neutron, I can put nectar, ozone, I can use an imager, like on this right here, on this pad. Okay, this pad, insert an imager. That's another thing of being able to see what you're doing. Okay, and this is an imager, and so I have my imager coming in, and you see, look, it's out of phase. So I have to bring that into phase, all right? When this comes back to the center, you'll see it's out of phase. And see, so I can't have it go down below this line, or this sound in a mono environment will disappear, okay? And I can't have my sounds disappearing. I need them to be right there, right there. And so, boom. Now, if I want now to go into this imager, automation, now look, there's my imager. And I can animate all of those different things right over top of my track. Okay? I can do the gain, I can do, as it's moving along, I can adjust animate any of these parameters in the imager. So I can get really fine-tune the spatial depth and make sure that it doesn't keep narrowing and moving if that's what I want. If I don't want the depth, the width narrowing and widening as the song progresses, I can fix that right through here, right over the track. People should actually get a challenge going on and show these DAWs and put them up beside each other and really show them, because that's when you will find that Cakewalk has not this, with the envelopes being right over top of this. This has been this way for the last, I think, 10 years, 10 years, longer than that. That Cakewalk has had your envelopes right over top of your track, and they're not down in some track like, where is my and you go through. No, you just switch to whatever envelope you want, and you're editing it right there. You don't have to jump all around. That's Cakewalk, okay? That's just one example of how Cakewalk works. I would not want to work in any other DAW. No, even if somebody gave it to me, or if it's free, I would just not use it. And, the thing is that Cakewalk by Bandlab is free. The world gets on the bandwagon. They're so quick to get on the bandwagon and say, well, everybody else is using it, must be better. It's not. It's not better. Everything from, we have VST3 plugins, everything from ARA2. It's the first in the industry, I believe, to be ARA2 right now, which means Melodyne is going to take advantage of all kinds of now new features in Cakewalk. It was one of the first DAWs to be ARA1, and some of the DAWs still aren't even ARA yet. You have to still bring Melodyne in and save all of your edits in a totally different file. I would use it because you're going to make better music with it. It's just that simple. Now I can switch to these right here, volume pan, and I can just delete those envelopes right over top. And it's like, oops, I just deleted the piano one. No, I didn't. They're right here in the pad, so I know which ones I'm deleting. I click on the mouse wheel and this comes up and I can select, I can move. This tool does almost everything that these ones do, but all in one tool. If you learn this tool, it's like you can stretch, you can move something up and down, you can resize it, all with one tool. This one is splice and split and stretch and edit. There's your delete tool. This is for drawing. So you can draw, you get all these different shapes, lines and triangles and squares and sawtooth and random. It's for putting patterns in your controllers and stuff. Yeah, and it's a middle mouse wheel click. That's anywhere you go, whether if I'm in a MIDI track, middle mouse wheel click, up it comes. And I have all the same tools no matter where I go. They're always there with that middle mouse wheel click. Here, you see? And that is amazing because your tools are always there. You don't have to go up top and click on select, and you don't have to go here. It's right there where you're working on stuff. And then when you want to switch stuff around, little mouse wheel click, and that's how you access all of your automation and all of your envelopes. Yep. Okay, very good. Please check out my music at RexRed.com. So if you use Moist Meter Potato, just be aware not to accidentally turn on echo when you're trying to record your mic. You have a wonderful evening, day, whatever it is, where your side of the world, and thanks for watching. Music is work. It's work. It's fun. It's a great career, but it's work. Requires patience. And these videos that I make, they're long and I ramble on about stuff that's very, very important. If you just don't have the patience to watch these videos and learn from them, then you're just not realizing that music takes a lot of work, okay? And the same thing for video editing. I mean, I love making music and I love editing vocals and I love editing clips and making videos, and the final process of putting it out to my friends when I'm rendering down the song or rendering down a video, and excited about the premiere. I have a premiere tomorrow for a video. That's really the fun stuff. So, all right, have a good evening or day or whatever it is in your part of the world, and all the best. Big hugs and lots of love. Take care, and I will see you in the next video. All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye.